on the California redwood. General info, scientific name, Sequoia sempervirens, family, right there, conifers, part of the conifer family. This species is a gymnosperm, so it has no flowers versus an angiosperm, which produces flowers. Only found in Southwest Oregon and Northwest California, so they're very endangered. Found in only one place in the world, and it's said that they could actually be extinct not too far if we don't do anything about it. But okay, growth. Perennial tree, so it grows indefinitely against versus annual plants that die and come back every year. One of the oldest organisms on Earth. They could live from 1,200 to 1,800 years. 400 feet in height, they could reach up to that, and 30 feet in diameter. They are semoparous, so they reproduce once a season for their whole lives, versus iteroparous, where the plant would reproduce once in their whole life and then die. Sex and gender systems. So they usually self, but they are able to outcross. The inefficiency in pollen dispersal. The wind can't really take the pollen very far, so selfing is the best option that they actually have. But they could also asexually reproduce by budding from roots, stumps, and branches and other parts of the tree. It needs stimulation, as in like a branch needs to break or the tree needs to fall, like damage to the tree needs to happen for it to bud and reproduce from that. And they are a monoecious plant, which means under one house, so they have both male and female gametangia, so they're able to self-reproduce, and they produce cones. So pollination and phenology. Prefer self-pollination, like I mentioned before. Male cone is on the bottom of the tree, and female cones are on the top of the tree. So when they have to pollinate, the pollen has to go from the bottom to the top, allowing winds for that. This is challenging because it's a very tall tree, and it's very difficult for the wind to accurately bring all the pollen from the bottom to the top, so it can be pollinated. No fruits or flowers, only produces cones. After 10 to 15 years of maturity, they start producing cones. They produce cones from winter and then until fall. Small cones, usually about 10,000 cones per tree, and with each cone has 150 plus seeds. So this is the life cycle of a gymnosperm. So we start at two-end diploid. We have a female cone and a male cone. Go through meiosis. They turn to the megaspores and macrospores, so they replicate multiple times. And then mitosis happens, and then the male microspores turn into the male gametophyte, which is the pollen, and then the female megaspores turn into the female gametophyte, which is the egg. And after this, wind brings the pollen to the top of the tree to the female cones. They get pollinated, fertilized, and the zygote forms within the scale, and that is the future seed. And this is a part of the cone. Each scale in the cone is one seed. Seeds, low viability. So like they only survive about 3 to 10% of the time. This is actually could be seen as an advantage because many organisms don't want to sift through a bunch of dead seeds, so they just leave them alone. But either way, they still don't really survive. Wind dispersed, but not very efficiently. Small wings on the seeds make it hard for them to get dispersed at an efficient rate, like far from the parent. Closer to the parent, the seeds are dispersed, the less chance of survival. They are also very susceptible to fungal infection. And for best chance of survival for the seeds, flood or forest fire is needed because these seeds are not very good at establishing themselves. So they need help from the environment pretty much to reduce competition. So like flood and forest fires, they kill all the trees, but sequoias are very well at handling floods and forest fires and things like that. So yeah.